Hey, I'm Ryan. I'm also known as Argel around and about, if you've ever heard of that name. You might encounter it in some of the literature about this thing, the Ellis Sigil. I made it in about 2003. We were out to put cracks into consensual reality because we thought that was the chief problem in why magic was hard to do. Too much disbelief, too many people who were too rational, the age of reason did its job too well, and we needed to poke holes in that shit so that magic could come creeping through, and we, us children of magic, would have an easier time of things. Whether that's the case or not, since then I've learned some things. There are micro-realities that, you get in the middle of a group of muggles, and if you are in their reality, magic is harder to do. You can step outside of their reality, make your own little reality bubble, and magic becomes easier, but harder to do on them. It's harder to influence things outside of the reality bubble that you're standing in. This is why we use ritual space, magic circles, things like that. We take ourselves out of the regular world, and it becomes easier for us to do our thing with people who are doing the same thing, and without the outside influence. I mean, this has been the case forever, right? So you've read my essay, hopefully, on that I posted, and I accidentally left some stuff out of that because that was written for people who knew what the Ellis Sigil was all about already. They just didn't know the story about how we came about it. They knew about the breaking consensual reality, the assault on the muggles. The reason that we came up with this thing was to connect all of our works in this vein together, because on the old Occult Forums website where we came up with this, we wanted something, because there were a bunch of us that were like, yeah, fuck those people. We are going to make this world magic as shit. And we wanted to have both a sign and a something that would, serve as this to the power behind the nothing, to the world as it was, just the mundane bullshit. Fuck you. Also, we were doing this primarily through glamour bombing, or glitter bombing as it's sometimes called. You are probably familiar with this. If it's not, it's an artistic concept where you surprise someone with the unexpected nature of your art, and then that bypasses their usual filters. It gets them to pay attention and go, "Buh?" And then whatever message you have, that drives straight into their subconscious. It just, it parts their defenses and punches them in the face. Well, now you take a glamour bomb, like, say, here's a classic. You take an Easter egg, like one of plastic Easter eggs, and then you fill it with glitter and a little scrap, like a fortune cookie, with a message on it. Something like, magic is real! Yeah, so, somebody finds this Easter egg, they open it up, glitter goes fucking everywhere, and they're like, what the fuck? And then there's this piece of paper that says, magic is real. In their moment of what the fuck, this is like, what? But that'll stick with them. They'll remember it. Now, we take talismanic theory, where you can charge up a talisman, something like, say, this. You can curse it, you can bless it, you can whatever, and you can either have that be a constant enchantment that, you know, like this is a thing of protection, or this is a cursed object, and if you pick it up, the entire money shot blows all over you right then. That's what you want for a glamour bomb, is when they pick it up, when they look at it, it goes off on them. And yeah, I mean, like we know that this works. We use this. Voodoo uses this. Hoodoo uses this a lot. I've had it done to me. Accidentally, somebody slipped this little copper arrowhead into my pocket when I wasn't paying attention, and it took some years before I realized what it was that they had done to me, and I had to deal with that. But we do these things. So a glamour bomb, you take a glamour bomb, the artistic concept, you charge it up like a talisman, and then whatever message is in there, it gets driven into their brain like a nail gun. Bang! You know, the problem that we had was, once it's gone off, what the fuck do you do then? Do you run all over town to these random Blair Witchery that's been hanging around, or the scrolls that you've left, or the have to like continually run around and recharge these? That's a pain in the fucking ass. So what I figured was, well, we just use sympathetic magic. You just make a sigil, a linking sigil, and you can use this, not just this one, the little L linking sigil concept, which I'm pretty sure I came up with. I've never seen it anywhere else, to take, you know, the hair and nails and, you know, chunk of the thing idea, and just turn that into a symbol that you can use wherever. You can stick it, you know, here, and those 2 points are now connected. Yeah, so point being, with the glamour bombs, the idea was to connect one part to your glamour bomb, or your spell, or whatever that needed a constant source of power. You take another one and you stick it on a source of power. That's why the very first Ellis tag was under the New Age and the fantasy sections at the local Barnes & Noble. Because of the energy that people are dumping into these sections. They want magic, they want wonder, they're searching, they're wishing hard, and these were exactly the energies that I wanted to propagate into the world. And when you squish up a whole bunch of books on magic and fantasy and that sort of thing together on a shelf, as I said in my essay, this causes a particular resonance. You know, these places, they've got some juice to them. So yeah, suck that out, put it into magic out in the world through the sympathetic connection of your linking sigil. Alternately, you can use this for like your home altar, which of course you can't pack up and put in your pocket. What you can do is make a little specific linking sigil, any symbol, whatever feels right. You slap one copy on your altar and you stick another in your pocket. Then you can access your home altar wherever you happen to be. You can do this with large constructs. If you're an artist, or you make big things. If you want to make a poster-sized, giant-ass sigil of protection with, you know, stones glued on and twisted wire and that sort of shit, you know, yeah. Slap a little linking sigil on there, stick one in your pocket. Yes, you can do this just with your mind. You can do that. But that doesn't work when you're having a bad day. You know, when you've got one of those days that you can't think, you can't focus, you know, you need a thing. You know, that's when talismans come in really, really handy. Anyway, yeah, so that's linking sigils. That's the basic concept. Now this thing, this being the linking sigil, the original use. How do you use this thing? First way we used it was to link our works together, like any kind of spell that we did, any kind of shenanigans that we got up to, any tags that we made, any whatever. This was just to make us a group all working for the same purposes, right? Right. Second way was, say, sigils. You make a sigil, you, like, I want a banana, and you do up your I want a banana sigil. Well, then you slap the Ellis sigil up in one of the corners and connect that to the web. That will empower your sigil with this whole vast connection of the web, and it'll also, put some bananas in the web, whatever. But it puts the pepper on what you're doing, because the base intent of this sigil, like the base idea, is to make the world a more magical place. It just is. That's what we're trying to do. Make magic easier. If your spells work better, that helps increase the belief in magic in the world. So that works out. I mean, that's just one of the things that the Ellis Sigil does. It helps you be a better mage, because it is in its purview to do so. I don't know. All right, moving on. Need to talk about tags. This is a big thing among the DKMU. That is Domus Chaotica Marauder Underground. If you are not familiar, you can check them out at dkmu.org or on Facebook. It's the group that is primarily responsible for spreading Ellis around, and they've got a whole bunch of other stuff, but Ellis was the beginning. Anyway, so tags. Some of this comes from the glamour bombing thing, making the street tags and stuff, and that was the most popular. People were all about exposing folks to the Ellis Sigil, unsuspecting muggles, and, exploding a little magic into their lives, making their world weird for a couple days, so that maybe not so much that they would start believing in stuff, but that they would doubt, and doubt is all we need to work with. We can work with that just fine, because magic is a subtle business, as we all know. So we don't need a big glaring fanfare. We just need to be able to sneak some shit past them, and that's good. A depressing number of bathroom stalls got tagged, as I said. This does not help us much. I mean, sure, there's a whole lot of drunk guys who went to take a whiz that maybe had a weird night in there. Yeah, sure. Maybe they remember that, sure, that helps. More importantly are the input tags and the ones used to wake up sleeping places. Input tags, like the first one that we ever did, I did the first one. I was working at Barnes & Noble, stuck it onto the New Age and fantasy sections. Just slapped it up under there to harness the energy that people were dumping into these sections of books daily. They wanted magic, they wanted wonder, they were wishing, they were searching. These were the things that I wanted to propagate into the world to accomplish our goals of making the world a more magical place. More belief, more magic, right? Okay. People have used kinetic sigils, like they'll make a kinetic energy harvester and slap an Ellis sigil in it and slap that on a freeway in the middle of the night so that all the cars that pass by, it's siphoning off just a little bit. Places that tend to generate a lot of emotion, like concert halls. stadiums, churches, anywhere that a great amount of emotional energy, just energy, gets stirred up and nobody does anything with it, really, stick them there and it puts it into the web. Old sacred sites, haunted sites, places of power, between places, and by between places what I mean here is, I don't know if you guys have seen the Animatrix, the series of animated things that came out after the Matrix. There were a bunch of shorts, and there was one called Beyond, where this group of kids found an abandoned building where physics didn't work quite right. They could do shit. And it was really cool, and that stuck in our heads. I mean, that was around the time that we made this thing. We were like, wow, that right there. You can find these places, and it's, of course, not that pronounced most of the time. You can find them down alleys, or around the corner, or, you know, where a tree goes over a trail, or, you know, you just step off the path just a little bit and there'll be this place that's like, whoa, this is somewhere. This place matters. There's the places between here and there where the magic is already seeping through. Yeah, you tag that and harness it for the web and further empower these places, because the Ellis Sigil is a two-way connection. You know, you have the power of the whole web that comes seeping through along with Ellis's inherent make the world more magic. That's what it does. It empowers the magic, the strange, the weird, the mystery, anything like that, the local resonance, whatever it is, be it good, bad, or otherwise, gets empowered. So be careful about that too, because if somewhere's fucked up and you toss in an Ellis bomb, it could well get a lot more fucked up. It happens. And, you know, I've done that enough that I can't criticize. I really can't. There's some sketchy in there, just so you know. Because our whole early marketing campaign on the Ellis Sigil was to spread beauty, variety, and conflict. That was our idea. And a whole lot of people were down with the, yes, let's watch the world burn in a magical fire of orcs and dragons. Yes. We've scaled that back a bit. Well, I've scaled that back a bit. And since I spent most of my time feeding the web through various inputs, I probably have an outsized effect on what resonance you're getting out of it. Because I have spent 10 years finding places of magic and wonder and mystery and concepts, more importantly, and I'll get to this later, concepts that are a little more uplifting and less of the tear the world down. And there's a whole lot of the tear the world down. A lot of my buddies, I love them, I do, were of that persuasion. So there's that in there too. Along with these inputs, I said that it also empowers places. Have you ever come across a place that should have been magic, but it felt like it was asleep? Or you walk in and you're like, wow, this should be awesome, but it's kind of dead. It's not awake. Well, what you can do, and what I often do, and this is also one of my chief things that I do, is you make an Ellis tag there for empowerment. not to harness it. Here we go. Your intent. When you draw this thing, matters. Like who you are, where you're holding your mind. When you draw this thing, when you carve it, when you leave it there, that makes a difference. A significant difference in what it will do and how it will manifest. So I go into these places and anytime I find them, and I wake them up. Like some of these places are not particularly friendly. So in those cases, you want to take your Ellis, whatever. You either want to draw it real quick or toss in your Ellis coin. Oh, here's a concept right here. An Ellis coin. This one's made out of concrete. It's a concrete disc with the Ellis carved in it. You can do it in metal, in wood, in, I've done relief carved ones, I've done all sorts, but these are extremely convenient because people don't have to see it for it to be effective in anything but the blast tag application. If you're slapping it up there and you want to influence people's brains because they saw the thing, sure, spray paint it on a wall. But if you're wanting to be more subtle about it, if you want to influence local reality, to empower the local resonance, to wake up whatever is there that has since gone to sleep, or to just, fuck shit up, you make either an Ellis coin or a sticker or a small tag, and you put it somewhere where people can't see it. Because they don't have to. And it will do the thing just fine. So in these places that are a little sketchy, yeah, I'll take one of these things, I'll huck it in there, and then I'll fucking run. Other places I will go, I will pay my due respects, and I take the White Spring of Avalon. We went there. It is at the base of Glastonbury Tor. It was a magical quest to get into it. I saw the most epic ritual of my entire life in this candlelit, dripping cavern. It was amazing. And I took one of my metal custom-made Ellis coins, and I threw it into the well, like it was a wishing well, and connected it and all of that and all of the belief in this well to the web for its healing and magical powers for thousands of years. Yeah, with one of these, tossed it in. That's how you do that. I also did that at Ruby Falls and Grand Canyon and a number of other places around the whole country and wherever in the world that I've been. But yeah, as I say, you can do that sort of thing with carvings, coins, stickers, just your Sharpie. This thing is your best friend if you're working with the Ellis Sigil, because you can make a tag anywhere and people do not have to see it, and this is important. And that I've found in my own practice. Other people might not, but my own practice, waking up the places and empowering places has had the greatest effect that I know of. And getting these places tied back into the web. Okay, here's the story. One time I got pissed. This was many years ago. And I didn't know what was going on with my life. And I summoned a goddamn oracle. I was like, I need an oracle! Because I'm pissed! And I'm tired! And I don't know what the fuck's going on! So this poor woman wound up at the local New Age store. And she was an oracle. And my girlfriend at the time drugged me to come talk to this woman. And I was like, what the fuck? I don't want to go New Age. Fuck off. I don't want to go. But okay, fine, I'll go. And we went. Sat and listened to her new agey sort of lecture on, divination. Oh, divination. It was like talking to fucking Trelawney. But then when we were about to leave, like she told everyone that she was done and they could go, but she pointed at us and she was like, you stay. I need to talk to you. And I was like, oh, okay. And one other guy. And she took us off into the back room, along with my girlfriend at the time. And she told the guy something about his grandmother, I think, that was very important. And he was like, oh, thank you. And then she turned to me and she was like, you're why I'm here. You're why my car broke down and I couldn't go where I was supposed to go, so I wound up here. You, young man, you're gonna listen to me. And I was like, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, I will. She was like, you called for an oracle, didn't you? And I was like, yeah. She was like, I thought so. Okay. Here's the thing. We're not supposed to know each other. We were never supposed to meet, but they decided that you needed to hear this. And I was like, okay. She was like, okay, here's what I see. You're doing things like, I'm seeing alligator clips on wire. You're like bypassing damaged circuits, but it's on a big spiritual scale and it's important. And does this mean anything to you? And I was like, yeah, a little bit. She was like, okay, keep doing what the fuck you're doing. It's what you're supposed to be doing. Now quit talking to me. You're giving me a headache. Go away. And I was like, yes, ma'am. And we left. Oh, she was pissed. She was pissed off. This little old woman. Not happy with me. Okay? She was talking about this thing. And yes, in fact, I was doing the right thing. And quit bugging them about it. So, alright. Got the blessing of the New Age occult community and their oracles. I'm never calling on an oracle ever again. That happened. That really happened. Oh, she was not pleased. And she could barely tolerate to look at me. She was like, oh, God, you just... Anyway, where was I before that story? Filtering. I need to talk about filtering. It's one of the most important things that we've discovered in the last 10 years of dealing with the sigil. If you take it raw, you just take the pure Ellis sigil, slap it up somewhere, that is a big chaotic mess in there. It just is. It's inherent in the system. It's what we created it to be initially. We wanted to fuck shit up and make the world weird. We did. As we went along, we discovered that this is great for glamour bombing. Great for, getting unsuspecting people and being like, blam! Ha 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 ha! Your world is weird now! For the next couple days, or getting people to, experience this and be like, wow, the magic is fucking real. What the fuck is this? It's a good thing, great thing. However, if you're trying to do a more subtle spell, Ellis is not subtle. It's just not. So what you can do is you can filter it through your intent when you draw it. You can hold your mind. Look, broadly, there's two different sides to Ellis. Just like there's two different sides to, say, fairyland. There's the happy side and the not-so-happy side. And, whatever kind of spell that you're going for, hold your mind in one side or the other. Or for just straight empowerment for your construct. You don't want random resonances influencing what you're trying to do so much. Ellis, by its nature, will turn spells to its own ends. Because that's what it does. This does not mean that that's a bad thing. It will empower magic. Because that's part of its core mission, to make the world a more magical place. If you're a more effective magus, if your spells work better, that's better for you and everybody else, and that increases the belief and the amount of magic in the world, so this is a good thing. However, it can put a little topspin on whatever spell you're doing that will help out the effort, the main effort in general, but it typically doesn't have bad effects on your spells. I didn't say that quite right, but hopefully you know what I'm talking about. So, like for instance, you make a sigil, right? And you want to get a shot of power from the Ellis web. What you'll do is you'll, do the Ellis and slap it on there with the intent of empowering this sigil, rather than how you do it for a glamour bomb, which you do with the intent of nailing anybody that looks at the thing, or waking up a sleepy place and connecting it to the rest of the web, or whatever. Each of these processes they're each different iterations of the Ellis sigil, and making that distinction is all in here and in here with how you do it. I hope that made sense. Okay. Alright, next up, we have the entity Ellis. Okay, bit of background here. This entity, we didn't make it, and this is important. People think that it's a created entity. No, really, we didn't. We made the web, and this thing woke up in there and started interacting with people. And it's a little troubling, because people try to deal with it like an established god, or goetic demon or something, and she fucked some people up, because she does not like pushy. Whatever this thing is, she arose from this web. We think it's kind of like a caretaker. Different people have different experiences with her. I don't bother Ellis. I'll say hi sometimes. If she wants to put in her 2 bits, I'm good with it. Cool. If not, then I just leave her alone. I just deal with the sigil. A mythology has sprung up around her that does not quite line up with what I have experienced of this thing, but it seems to work for people. I don't know. Make your own judgment, but do not be pushy, because she can push back and has been known to do so violently. But she's a good friend to have. I don't know. That's about all I got on that, but just bear that in mind. Okay, conceptual tagging. This is, I often talk about how I tagged Harry Potter. And people are like, how in the fuck did you do that? Well, I can tell you. My thought process here was, you know how you got the astral, and you'll go into the astral realms, and you see it in your mind until you can see it and feel it and hear it and smell it and such, and then you go and you do stuff that works. This is not so very different than when you get really into a book. And I figured, well, if this is the same process, sort of, then maybe books that all of these people are having the same experience of, they're going there in the same way that you go into the astral and do these things, that maybe we could harness all of the all of the energy that they were dumping into these stories, into these little maybe pocket realms. And so I tried it, and it worked. Like I say, I was reading along Harry Potter. We were, I read until I was thoroughly in it, and they were in Diagon Alley, or no, going into Diagon Alley, and Hagrid opened up this magical portal, which has the benefit of being a between place and a magical place besides. And as they went through the portal, I turned aside in my mind, and I tagged the shit out of the archway. That was the first one. I made several more throughout those books, and well, when it became apparent that this had done something major, I went nuts with it. Man, I tagged everything I could think of. All the conceptual worlds and stories and things that mattered to me magically. I have even, aside from doing this with books, with the books, I also tagged the physical copies of the books as well. That doesn't seem to much matter. What matters is that you get the tag into the story, wherever that world is. You can do this with movies too. Like, I've taken 3D glasses and Ellis the lenses and watched the movie through them and managed to tag it that way. This will do strange things to your head. Just be forewarned. And you can also use that glasses trick to tag the world as you walk through it. You just get a pair of safety glasses, Ellis the shit out of it, and go play Cyclops. And tag the shit out of things. This will also fuck with your head. Not sure how long that sticks, but it seems to do something. Anyway, so that's conceptual tagging. Just extrapolate that thought to whatever. You get your mind into that world. You get your willing suspension of disbelief until you're as there as you can, and then make a tag. Also, astral tagging. If you're good at astral travel and shit, I'm not even sure I know what they're talking about. I think I do. All the explanations, I don't know, man. I do things, they work, therefore I think I'm doing the right thing. What more can you say? But yes, go and tag astral places. Do it in lucid dreaming. Out-of-body experience. Go tag whatever level of reality that is. Wherever. Go tag the moon. I think somebody said they did that once upon a time. Who knows? Might work, might not. And just any kind of anything that inspires you, anything that you read it, you see it, you play the game, you do the thing, and you're like, fuck yes, this right here, this is magic. Yeah, and it gives you the yeah. Well, tag that. Get that shit in the web so that we can spread it out into the world so that other people can have that feeling, and that people who are playing or reading or watching these things and are just dumping their energy into it, we can harness that for our own magical needs. Yeah, so that's conceptual tagging. Okay, something from the early days of Ellis that people always ask about is, how do you haunt a place? Because we talk about that. We talk about, tagging somewhere and it haunting the place, or people trying it and it didn't quite haunt the place. How do you do this? You can extrapolate this to all sorts of concepts, and so I'm going to rely upon you to understand what I'm talking about. So in the case of a haunting, you go to somewhere that really should be haunted. You think it should be haunted. There should be spooks in there. And the willing suspension of disbelief you get when you're going into a haunted house? You know that these are college kids who are painted up in makeup, and it's just some bullshit and a mace made out of garbage bags and, some sketchy dude with a chainsaw. Right. You can allow yourself to be afraid here. Well, what you do is you tell yourself a ghost story of sorts. You don't have to be specific. You just have to walk into that place where it's spooky. And you keep going until you are genuinely afraid until there are spooks there, until you're jumping at shadows, until, you know, you've gotten to the place where this is a haunted house, and then you tag it. And that sticks that resonance of that world that you were in to the real world. It's like making a stitch between two levels of reality, so that spook can come seeping up through it. It works the same way with enchanted places like grottos or rings of trees, or, you know, if you go into the place, you put yourself in the place of the deep magic. You walk into that resonance where you feel it and you know it and you can see it right there in front of you. You can touch it. That's when you make your tag. And upon this mark, I unite the worlds. That's one of the things we say. That's what we mean. You walk into the place, the world behind the world, and then you stitch the normal world to that, so that the magic can come seeping through there, and then more people can experience it. There you go. Thank you for watching this. I know that it was a bit of a clusterfuck, me waving my Muppety arms around, making funny sound effects, and with a lot of ums and ahs and kind of rambling at you, but I hope that you got something out of this. And I know that I've left out, good Lord, everything, but that's why I'm going to be around to answer questions. Any kind of questions you got. I'm also going to post some essays that I've written on some of the things I've talked about, and some supplementary material that you might find helpful. And yeah, I hope that you enjoyed it, and yeah, thanks.